Thanks for watching The Instant Reaction. For full episodes of the Cannon Podcast, sign up as a YouTube member on this channel or go to patreon.com/thecannonpod. Welcome back to The Instant Reaction. Arsenal 2, Wolves 1. It was fun for about half an hour. Then it was pretty boring and then it became very stressful. Bhavs, how was that for you?
Well, I missed the best part of the game.
What is that?
I don't want to disclose that, to be honest.
Okay.
But I missed the first half of the game. And so, yeah, I'm going to have to rewatch that. So I'm looking forward to that. But the second half is what I watched. And I think what I saw was a team that still needs to become a little bit more ruthless. That's the thing I learned. Now, I didn't see the best part of the game, but in the part that I did see, what I saw was an Arsenal team that, you look at Liverpool, when they go 1-0 up, 2-0 up, they go and kill a team 5-6. And it seems like with Arsenal, they kind of do that and they kind of just slow down, take it with ease. It's all good now. And I think that's the next step for Arsenal if you want to become that ruthless killing side. When you're over the team, you go and strangle them and kill them there and there.
Yeah, I think the desire to score early, to come out the blocks firing, whatever it is really exciting and is something that is really was great about last season. But it creates quite difficult games to manage because once you're sort of 20 minutes into a game, you're 2-0 up, you look like you're about to score 3, 4, 5. If you don't go on to do that and kill the game early and keep up that intensity, which is very hard to do, it creates a difficult game to manage where you're kind of going, we've got basically 60, 70 minutes left of a game here. We're going to have to deal with this. We're going to have to either control it, which is going to be really hard and takes a lot of concentration, or allow it to become a bit more of a transition game, which you in the end, you're going to give up some chances, or you have to go for them and try and kill them early and try and get 5-6 in that first half.
Yeah.
I think that's what we did against Lens. That is, the Lens game, the second half became simpler to deal with because we were so far gone. But in this game, I think you kind of have to make a choice once you're 2-0 up and looking like you're going to beat them. Either you absolutely go for them, which we didn't do, and I thought Wolves managed to counter a couple of things as well, which I want to come to, or you sit back and allow it to become a slightly different game. But I thought it kind of got caught in the middle, and it just became a slightly difficult game to manage. Look, I think towards the end, I did feel we got away with it a little bit. If you just take that last 10 minutes in kind of isolation, I did feel. Yeah. There could have been a handball, as in it wasn't a handball, but there could have been a handball or a penalty. Or
it was too close for our liking.
It was too close. It was very much set up for a kind of a pushover in the box or a mistake, as we saw, maybe another mistake. And you don't want to create those margins in this league. So
I agree, but it's also important not to overcomplicate. And ultimately, it was one mistake that kind of gave them the chance. Like Wolves weren't making chance after chance after chance. No. I think that was the only chance they actually made, which was a kind of half chance on the edge of the box. Yeah. But this is the thing. It's like almost we control games with it late, or we come out firing the blocks and almost use up most of our energy in the first half, and in the second half you're going to get more of this as well. We saw a lot of this last season. This was very much a last season performance. Fantastic football, Odegaard's flying, electric football in the first half. Second half, team gets a bit overexcited, over-relaxed, and we need to become more, what's the word? I think we show too much mercy at times. We're showing too much mercy to Wolves because, look, we're a team that once we get going, we can break any team apart.
Big time. And I think this was a big game for extremities in terms of I think we saw the very best of Arsenal at one point. We also saw the possible weaknesses in our team in terms of Jesus and Nketiah's finishing and the mistakes that there was Zinchenko. We saw how good we can be defensively, and we also saw how we can shut off a little bit. So we saw kind of a lot of sides of us today over the course of the game, and I think that's because I hear people who say you want to come out of the blocks firing, and I get that, but it does create a difficult situation. Let's come to the Zinchenko mistake because I agree with you. It's a moment where he gets caught. We kind of know that. I've already had some people saying, I made a video on my different not channel yesterday saying that that Zinchenko's improved. People say it's aged well.
They're going to stop now. They're going to be like,
well, what's funny is it absolutely did age well because what I said was he's improved defensively, but he'll still get replaced by Timber because Arteta won't be accept his mistakes is what I say at the end of the video. But obviously everyone watches the first minute or two.
The question for me is reliability. That's the one. And it's like, you can be very good defensively in some games. You can definitely improve, but the best defenders naturally are reliable in tough moments. Saliba's just naturally a good defender. Therefore, in those tough moments, he's not going to do it and make a mistake. Zinchenko in those this was the game where Arsenal won the game and no one really cares. But if we take it back to last season, Anfield, who do you want in that position? and improves Zinchenko defensively, or you're in Timber, who you know is
Exactly.
much
You're in
better
Timber.
defensively.
And I think it would be Timber. I think the Timber injury has kind of postponed some conversations about Zinchenko. Zinchenko has improved, but equally, I think I think if Timber was still fit, he'd be playing instead of Zinchenko.
Mikel's a ruthless guy. Let's be completely honest here. Like, the reason why he signed Timber was to replace Zinchenko. Not in terms of like every game, but he will replace Zinchenko when he's fit and available. And we actually saw it at the start of the season where, Timber was starting most of our games when he was fit. Because Mikel saw last season what cost us. He must have thought Ramsdale, Zinchenko. So who comes in? Raya and Timber.
Yeah. No. And Thomas Partey not being fit, which is why he brought in Declan Rice. So yeah, I think that, and again, interesting again, because we see the very best of Zinchenko on that second goal, with how he combines with Jesus and gets the assist for Odegaard, and then we see the sort of the flip side of him. I think it's funny because I don't think we necessarily learned anything in terms of, other than maybe we need to be more ruthless, but realistically we kind of knew that anyway. And I think there is I just get the sense that we saw all the facets of Arsenal today that we all know. Like, we know that's how good we can be. That's how we can get undone. That's how we can improve in certain areas.
And what I will say is the part that is the worst part, the undone part, is easy to fix.
Mm-hmm.
It's not much of it's a massive defensive problem. It's concentration. It's little basics. Maybe a few subs to make to kind of keep the game alive, or a mentality thing. Whereas the first half was the hard part, opening Wolves apart. Wolves are a very good team, and the fact that we open up with such ease. I watched the second goal back. That is sensational. Yep. I like the way that our fullbacks played today in terms of being in attack, and I kept seeing them drifting into the half spaces, and clearly worked out massively.
Yeah, for sure. Focusing on the positives, because there was a very, very positive aspect to that match. We'll go through the individuals in a second, but I thought specifically the midfield were fantastic today. I thought we saw a real return from Odegaard to a level of form, the way they were flipping in and out of each other's pockets. When Odegaard would drop deep, Rice would step into the half space. When Rice drops deep, Odegaard changing around, Trossard or whatever. Let's start with the lineup. What did you make of that decision in terms of Havertz Trossard over Havertz?
I think Mikel knew this was going to be a game of tight spaces and in a deep block, and Havertz is very good in terms of arriving into the box, crashing it, but outside the box, the little touches, little flicks, little tricks, and that's what Trossard excels. So because I think he's a better player in tight spaces, and also we've got a luxury. You can rotate Havertz or Trossard. These are players that weren't here at the start of last season. Now we've got these two players that you can bring on if you need a goal for Havertz. You can start Trossard if you want to play in tight spaces. So I think Mikel probably thought Trossard was more suited to this type of game. But looking at the lineup, it was there to rip Wolves apart. And we got to forget, Wolves are a very good side. I know they've lost a few games this season, but they beat Man City. Yep. They beat Spurs. They should have been Man United as well. Exactly. Yeah. And apart from a Zinchenko mistake, I don't think they would have scored.
Yeah, I agree. I think Trossard, the way I describe it, is like Trossard's the guy who'll punish any space that you give in, where I think Havertz can kind of create you some spaces on the pitch. And it's just different. Yeah. It just depends what you want for a certain game. And I think Arteta knew that Wolves like carrying. Their block isn't the best in the league. They're actually quite potent offensively, and maybe their difficulty is defensively. I think we saw that in the first half. Hugo Bueno must have nightmares about the guy of Saka.
Yeah,
absolutely cut up.
Week in, week out, we're seeing it, aren't it? Yep. And this is a slow start. We're still in that slow start, apparently.
Of course we are.
It's a very slow start. I want it to go even slower now because I'm enjoying this slow start.
Let's talk some individuals then. Raya, I thought for what we needed him to do, I don't think he could have done anything for the goal. But I thought he did okay. He was basically unneeded in the first half. But second half, he came out with some nice moments.
Yeah, that's how a keeper should be. You shouldn't talk about him. Shouldn't talk about him. Didn't use him.
Yep. Tomiyasu, it's a real shame if we've lost him because I think he was, again, fantastic today. I think he's added
I don't think we have. It was a calf injury. I'm not sure if calf injuries are the ones he has the most. Actually, I'm not sure. Has he had that before in the past?
We don't know. Basically, we can't really guess. But I think
because he was holding his calf. But I'm trying to make sure because he had a history at his last club. Was it Genoa? Or was it where was he at before?
Bologna.
He had a history of a certain muscular injury. I'm not sure if it was hamstring or groin, or was it calf. But he was holding his calf, and so hopefully that's not long term. It might be a precaution.
It was hamstrings at his... Well, but he's also had calf injuries. He had a calf injury. Yeah. That was what kept him out in 21-22. And last season, it was his knee. So, Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be knee, calf,
It could
hamstring.
just be some tightness. That's what I'm thinking. Muscular injuries can always be tightness, so just a scare of pulling it. And he's like, "Listen, I know how this could go. Let me not play through this. Let me sit down and go out."
Yep. No, I agree. I think I'm hoping it's. I mean, he appeared to be able to walk off the pitch, and hoping it was more of a precaution. I guess we'll have to find out about that. If anyone can find us that, then let us know. I just realised we haven't done the stats, so let me just look those up. While I'm looking that up, Saliba and Gabriel.
Again, I mean, the first yellow card for Saliba in over a year. Shame, big shame. Anyone that. I mean, if anyone better than that, they could have won a lot of money actually. But yeah, I think again, we didn't need to talk about the defense too much because they were just controlling the game, and it was more about the attack. And right towards the end, we saw where they excel at in the deep block area. We can defend well. As good box defenders, Gabriel had some good moments. Though that the potential handball, which when the commentator goes, "Oh, VAR check," and you're just trying to think, was it a handball? Was it not? Didn't get away with it. But, ultimately, should have kept a clean sheet. Unfortunate. And you can see Gabriel was furious with Zinchenko after he gave the ball away.
Yep. Just trying to find... Can you see that on your screen?
It's loading. Oh, there you go.
There you go. Here's the stats. We won on field tilt, Bhavs. Hey!
Back to the best, mate.
The only stat we care about.
I don't want to see the field tilt, though, because I know right towards the end it'll be all Wolves.
I think that expected goals number does tell us a story, though. I think because it was a really good shot from Cunha. I really rate Cunha. And yeah, they only created 0.8 expected goals. 19 shots, 6 on target, and only 2 goals. 3.4 expected goals. I think we were a little bit wasteful on finishing today.
Look at the amount of times we went to the final third.
Yeah, a lot of final third entries, a lot of deep touches, a lot of zone 14 touches. A lot of progression. Yeah, I think it kind of tells a story. But as we were saying earlier, there's we kind of know that's where we need to improve. And yeah, Wolves. I think you can tell that's a fantastic finish. What's that like a point? What's that shot from Cunha?
In front of a lot of defenders as well. It was
it's a really good finish.
Yeah, it wasn't. They didn't make a lot of chances. I mean, big chances. How much did they make? 1, maybe max.
I think it was that was their goal just inside the box. And we created some big chances around there.
Big chances.
There it is.
It wasn't even that bad towards the end. I would have thought it'd be a bit higher. But obviously, they had a lot of the ball in their half, not in our final third.
Here we go. Comparing it to the rest of the season, we were one of our best performances in terms of XG. In terms of shots, that was the most shots we've had in a game in the league so far this season. Yep. Wow, but 6 on target. Not too bad on field tilt. Perhaps average on deep touches, slightly struggling to get into the final third towards the end. Progressive passes and carries fairly high up the rankings. So yeah, statistically a good game, but I think I think in terms of our finishing, it was a little bit cold. Thoughts on? Let's move through the midfield. Rice. I mean, some of Rice's passing again today, breaking the lines, especially in the second half, I thought it was fantastic. Any myths around Rice's passing needs to just go, because he can reverse it. He can play those slip balls. He can switch it. He can break the lines. He is not as good, but his defensive anticipation we've always known about, and how good he is at what he does in that pocket. But his ability on the ball, I think, needs a serious kind of makeover in terms of its reputation.
His ability to tackle, though, that's the thing, man.
Yeah,
just flies in, satisfying, and it feels like a goal to me. That's how I celebrate it. And it's not just me; it's the fans of the crowd. I've been in the game a few times this season, and I've seen it. Every time Rice makes a challenge, the fans properly celebrate it. And I think George makes a very good point about also returning to heritage and how we look at the likes of Rice and throw back to the likes of Vieira. Arsenal fans are used to that type of profile, and for a first time in a while, we have got generally one of the best central defensive midfielders in the world. I mean, God knows how long it's been since we've had that, and this guy excels at everything. And I think it's only a matter of time before he becomes, and I'm going to say it, a better version of Rodri, because he's got a lot of Rodri's ability in terms of on the ball, but it's the off the ball power. The fact that he can cover so much distance. If he can just take his on the ball ability to the next level, which he will, by the way, because he's a learner and he'll learn year after year. Let's not forget Rodri's first year at Man City wasn't the best. Mm-hmm. And look at Rice at Arsenal straight away in the first 10, 20 games.
Yep, just needs a sample.
He's a beast.
Just needs a sample. He's crazy. He's incredible. Odegaard today, I thought, was a lot better. I think found his mojo a little bit. Was getting access in more central zones. The flip going out wide, coming inside. I think we've seen a development from Odegaard this season generally in terms of how he's approaching the game, in terms of being a lot less on the final on the sort of the final line, being a lot more involved in build up, which has maybe taken a bit of an adjustment. But I think if he starts to get it right, starts to understand a bit more when to drop, when to stay high, when to be involved in play, I think he could become one of our most influential players again, because he has been, but in a different way.
Yeah, I mean, his performance against Lens was very interesting because he was dropping off a lot deeper. And, almost in the build-up phase, dropping deeper, in the attacking phase, playing higher. So it's a very unique role to play, and it's going to take time for him to properly learn that. But once he does, I mean, today it's all about playmaking. He scored a fantastic goal, but that playmaking ability is back almost.
He should have had maybe 2 or 3.
Should have had so many assisted.
Yeah,
show me too.
Yeah, there was a moment, I think, he played Nketiah through. I think he played Trossard through, but again, it's that almost that classic Ozil type ball, the way he's in the central zones and he finds a space in behind.
Was it a pass to Trossard or Zinchenko where he kind of just dances around the defender and plays it? It was it wasn't a simple pass. He kind of did a little bit of skill pass.
Yeah, 100%.
It's swagger, man. It's a playmaker.
For sure. Discussed Trossard earlier. Jesus, I think again, it's kind of coming back to my overall feeling on the game. Very good player, very sharp. On his day, fantastic, but his finishing will always run you cold. I think there was the big chance that people talked about in terms of him missing it in the first half. I don't think he could have done anything. I don't think he was offside, but I think there was a couple of moments where I thought, can he do better? But we kind of know that about Jesus, so I don't feel like it's a particularly fair analysis, because it's basically going, it's like asking Rob Holding to defend a high line. It's a very different problem, but it's the same thing. That's not who he is, I don't think, and he said it himself.
Yeah, and I think that's where Jesus is, where if we sign a top striker, and we will sign a top striker, he will be still a very useful player because he excels at so many things. He's so close to perfection. And that's why it's very hard for fans to ever give up on him, because he gives you so much of what you want. And whoever we sign as a striker, there'll be things that he won't offer that Jesus offers. I guarantee that. And there'll be times where fans will go, but Jesus in that game was better. But, ultimately you get the win today, and, maybe in a bigger game when you got a bigger striker, we're going to have the best of both worlds.
Thoughts on the players who came off the bench?
Came off the bench? I mean, Havertz was a bit sloppy, I'd say, and Jorginho and Kivior came up very late, and Nketiah should have definitely scored. But yeah, I think when our subs, this game reminded me of just very much last season. Take the first half, show your quality, and take the second half for granted. Show mercy, slow down, have a nice few little passes, fans kind of, getting their hot chocolates out. That's what it was like. And I think ultimately, Mikel will look at that and he'll know how it had an impact on us last season. Last year, we had no problem going ahead. The goals against Liverpool, Southampton, West Ham, it was keeping ahead. And Mikel will be very careful. And that's why I think he's been so precautionary this year defensively, because he doesn't want that. He doesn't want the same thing as last year. He don't want to bottle it again. So he wants to almost make sure that doesn't happen. To see that nearly happen again today, Mikel will know, okay, look, there's still something that needs to improve. And as great as my defense is, at times, but we didn't give it away any massive chances, and that's the main thing to point out. If that Zinchenko pass, ends up as a shot around the post, which it could have gone easily, no one really cares, and everyone goes, oh well, easy performance.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, I think I do feel, returning to the Havertz thing, I do feel it didn't really suit him. I think Havertz is someone who, in settled play, I think can offer you so much, but I think in transition at the minute, in his Arsenal career, I felt he gets a little bit lost, a little bit bypassed. He's not particularly vertical. He doesn't really make those decisions as sort of confidently as maybe you'd want him to. So I think because the game was becoming a little bit more transitional, I didn't necessarily think it was the best substitute at the right time. Just quickly on Nketiah, I think again we kind of know who he is by this point. I think I heard someone say something the other day about like Jesus. It feels like he plays for the team, and Eddie plays for Eddie, and I do agree with that. I think Eddie sometimes I think it's not necessarily even a capacity thing, because I think he can facilitate a lot more than he does. I think a lot of the time he just stays on the last line, basically waits for that cutback or cross, whatever. But I do think you see the difference in terms of the lift for the whole attack when Nketiah is playing.
Yeah, it's just a matter of Eddie knows that he must believe that for him to break into the team, he needs to score a lot of goals.
Yeah.
And so that's why his only intention is to score goals. It's to get in the right position to score goals, because he feels like if he scores the amount of goals, Arsenal fans will start rating him more often.
Yeah.
But he's actually also joint top goal scorer in the league, and he ain't starting. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, exactly. Question from Patrick Walters. Any update on Tommy? What's part today with Tommy going down? I mean, obviously we don't know unless someone can put something in. But I do want to say, if let's hypothetically say Tommy is out until end of December, let's say, I don't know. We then go into that period with a lot of games with 5 senior defenders plus Cedric Suarez. That's a concern.
That is, and we've only had, apart from so far, Tomiyasu, 1 defensive injury as it stands.
Yeah.
So that's what Mikel says, that we're still short on defenders, and fans can't believe it because you go, hang on, we want attackers, we want midfielders. But defence is what cost us last season.
Yeah.
With a defence that was sturdy and it was fit, we would have won the title. So we can score goals like we saw today. We can make chances from midfield. But if we don't have the defence to cover, it's going to be a problem. So I think what will be surprising to fans, but not as much me in January, is when we sign a defender. And fans will go, well, hang on a minute, we want an attacker and midfielder. But they have to understand that it's Mikel's building this entire title race this year on the defence rather than the attack. Last year it was all about the attack. This year it's all about the defence. And he wants to ensure that there are no room for errors or mistakes, or if there is injuries, that we're ready and prepared.
Who do you think that'll be? As in what kind of defender, what side, what?
It will be a similar signing to what we've seen. A reliable Swiss Army knife. It won't be a game changer in terms of a player that can start week in, week out. It'll be a player like a Tomiyasu, like a Timber. Timber was meant to be that, by the way, because he can play everywhere. Centre-back, left-back and right-back. It'll be that type of profile again, and Mikel wants someone to have a defence full of those players that can play multiple positions because, if there's injury to Zinchenko, you can play him on the left-back. You can play him right-back, but we do have a player that I think will turn to more often come the end of the season. It'll be Jakub Kiwior. I think in some big games he'll bring him on or start him.
Well, he trusted him today to kind of see that game out.
Yeah, I think he'll be... Ultimately, we want a Tomiyasu profile. Even though we got Tomiyasu.
Yeah.
But if Tomiyasu is reliable, we wouldn't need that.
I think this is a hot take. I think if we're looking forward to next season, and again, I think the signing of Trossard, I think the signing of Kiwior, I think the signing of all sorts of players, yes, they are done with the immediate impact in mind, but also with the desire to consider how the team's evolving. If we do think Zinchenko is moving out of that defence, then a lot is going to change. And I wonder whether that means a change in left centre-back profile because Gabriel's so good at defending those wide channels. Do we need something slightly different there? So is it a left-sided player? I don't know. Or is it, we've seen a willingness, as we haven't seen up to this point, to move out Ben White. I think basically everyone other than Saliba there's at least a question mark. Saliba is going to be in the defence. You can't I don't think that's possible to argue. But what you can do, I think, is ask for maybe some alternatives to how we approach the game in terms of Ben White and in terms of Gabriel, in terms of Zinchenko. I don't know. I think I agree that there's going to be a Swiss Army knife element to it, but I think that's because it's an Arteta signing in the sense that he likes those kind of versatile players. Yeah, exactly. But I wonder whether we're going to see a more prospect long-term signing who probably ends up being our one of the 3 other than Saliba. I don't know. I think that the fact that Ben White's been not dropped, but Tomiyasu's bought himself into the team, I think says more than we've maybe given it credit for, in the sense that it doesn't matter how good, I don't know, let's say Jorginho has been playing, Declan Rice will play. Do you know what I mean? Jorginho could be operating 100% capacity. He's not going to come out of the team because he's Declan Rice. Saliba, we don't even have necessarily backup for Saliba. It will be a Tomiyasu or a White, and maybe like a Saka. Reece Nelson again could be 100% capacity. He's not coming out of the team. I don't think there's a right winger in the world that Mikel would put in over Bukayo Saka. But Ben White has felt like a fixture of this team for a long time. And this is the first time in a long time I think he's been electing to choose other players over him, which doesn't mean he hates the player. And again, everyone goes, oh, so you're saying he's going to sell Ben White? No. I think he loves Ben White. But I think it's the point that he's willing to try different options there. It tells me he's not 100% convinced by that position. What else could it be? Could you conclude?
Yeah, it's perfectly fair because what White is just a standard below of the players we've mentioned there. Rice, Saka, Saliba are in the best in their position. And White's up there. But I don't think he ever has the potential to be the best right back in the world. Which is because there's players like Trent Alexander-Arnold who are freaks, right? Yep. Saka is a freak physically. And in terms of his mentality and what he can do on the pitch. Saliba is another freak defensively. And we've seen Rice's ability as well. So it's not like a fault of Ben White's that he's not a freak at certain aspects. He's still a very useful player. But you're right. If Mikel can find a freak in that position, he's going to go and sign him and play him.
Yep. Let's do some questions. Alex Osborne, what is wrong with Alex? Very good question. No, he asked, what is it with Alex and reading way too much into things? We aren't selling him or coming close to him. He's being managed back into side and fitness. Didn't say we're selling him. Didn't say we're coming close to selling him. What I said was,
That's what you were saying.
and I hate him as well. Yeah,
yeah. That's
what I said. What I said was, it's the first time Mikel has shown willingness to rotate White. That's what I'm saying. A skill. Timber will play left back a lot once he's back. I agree. Kasim Sheikh says, last season we were top for much longer. These things don't happen often. If we let aside a lot of trophies, that could have been won. We wouldn't win, so that's why the criticism. I'm slightly lost. Last season we were talking about.
We need you to overanalyze again, Alex.
Sorry, I'll overanalyze that. Beta facts. We always act like it's easy to just jump a signing. We've got to have the money at the time. We've got to do the grammar. Players to agree to terms and the playing time situation. Yeah, it's not as easy as that, but equally the club.
It's simple. You put money on a table, get the contract out, you sign it, mate.
Williams.
That's what you do.
No, but
get him in.
You have to be in a position to, for example, when we couldn't get, was it the Douglas Luiz signing that we couldn't get when it got Jorginho? Or I can't remember.
It needs to be a willingness for the other team to sell. That's what people forget in January. If
100%.
the team don't want to sell, they can do what Villa did last year.
But
was it last year, the year before? Yeah, go on.
My point was more that I think there's, you have to be prepared in every scenario. We should be prepared to have a player in mind who, if William Saliba tomorrow turns around and says, I'm giving up professional football. You have to be prepared. You have to be prepared. So it's not to say, we're sat as fans now going, if Tomiyasu is out, then we need to act in January. That crisis scenarioing should have happened months ago, to think, right, if that happens in January, what do we do? If that happens, and there will be loads and loads of different plans, loads of different players, conversations with different agents, and there's whole teams who manage this. It's not, it's not just, Mikel going, Patrick Watts says, Bhavs turned into Lee Judges.
Yes, so mate, I spent a lot of time with the judge, but he's a proper geezer, proper mate,
proper geezer. Michael says, what do you think of Odegaard performance?
Down the pub right now, mate.
I think of Odegaard performance, he looks back to his best. Yeah, I thought he was terrific. We mentioned him a little bit earlier on, but
he reminded himself that he's a playmaker. That's what it was. That's what it was. He's like, I need to show fans that I'm still a beautiful player who can knit things together and play some lovely, sexy passes. That's what it was. That was a sexy performance.
It was. JD, we have too many injury-prone players. Partey, Tommy, Zinchenko, Jesus, ESR, Reece. We might need to replace them with more reliable quality players soon. I think that process is happening, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it. Look at that. Zinchenko, Timber signed. And now Timber's is a long-term injury. I don't think he's an injury-prone player. He's a long-term injury. It's unfortunate. Partey, we replaced with Declan Rice. And Tomiyasu's not really started. Jesus, we're looking for a striker. Reece, we got Bukayo. And then obviously Smith Rowe. We already got the likes of Bhavs in. Yeah,
I think with all of those, the problem is reliability adds another 20 million on a player's profile. But now we're in that conversation now, so that's great. But yeah, Partey, we signed Rice. Tomiyasu hasn't really been starting. Zinchenko, we signed. Yeah, you can go through each of those guys you mentioned and be like, okay. I think there's a plan to try and do that, but it just takes time. We should have signed Tielemans. Still missing a player that can replace Xhaka.
I mean, he would have been a nice profile. I will say that. I think he would have been a nice profile, but I don't think he's
not. I don't think he's two-way enough.
He's a Thiago. That's what he is. But he's like a very Jorginho in terms of he only suits certain game states. You can't have Jorginho and Tielemans the same midfield. I don't care how good Rice is. You can't have that man do that work, that much running for two players. So, Tielemans is a player that you sign if you don't have the Jorginho profile, and you need a player for that or if you're Man City and you've got 90% of the ball every single game, and even then, look at Man City's midfield.
Yeah, I just don't think he's two-way enough. I think
No, he's not.
I think if you look at the efficiency of our off-ball work now in different ways, Odegaard probably is more of a presser. Obviously, he can manage the physical duels, but it's not necessarily his thing. Rice, we know his qualities off the ball. Havertz is more of a 1v1 battler. I think he gets his leg around people. Rice is more of an in-out kind of defender. It's different. We've got a different and a blend of nice off-ball skills. But I think, I don't think Tielemans.
But notice that. Let's just say our best starter midfielder, there is Partey or Rice in there, but let's just say it's Havertz, Odegaard, and Rice. None of those players defensive liabilities. Tielemans is a defensive liability.
Yeah, and we wouldn't have the numbers we do this season with Tielemans. Danny Football, Saka has now scored more goals for Arsenal than Fabregas. Starboy over Snake.
Listen, mate.
More than you believe. More than you believe. Gideon Griffiths. How important do you think it is for Arsenal to do... Sorry, I can't read. Gideon. For Arsenal to do well this season, second or some silverware in order to appeal to an Osimhen-esque signing, or is that not as important? I don't think players and their entourages are stupid, and I don't think it's just down to one player. You know, these guys have teams of 10, 20 people looking after them, and, you know, there's not many secrets in football anymore. People know Arsenal are good, and they know the potential of Arsenal. They know the age profile of Arsenal. They know all the same stuff that we do. It's just about looking at what the best fit for him. And I think with Osimhen, I think you said this actually, for his whole career, he's been pretty smart with where he's moved.
Very smart. He could have gone to Arsenal after years ago when he went to Wolfsburg first, because they offered him a starting place, and that's what it was. I think he said no to Arsenal, Barca. There's a lot of teams there, so he's a very smart person. And I think that's when people say Chelsea, because he's got a photo of him in a Chelsea shirt when he was a kid. I'm like, well, that doesn't matter. That does not matter anymore. Eden Hazard and Didier Drogba, two of Chelsea's greatest ever players, were massive Arsenal fans.
Yep.
The Chelsea legends. So if Osimhen looks at Arsenal and goes, I can fit into that team, and those players are perfect for me, and I can win titles at this club, because he wants to come to the Premier League, by the way, he will come to Arsenal.
I agree. Let's finish with this. NL Forever. Did you see Team News and Tick saying we aren't going for Douglas Luiz instead of someone else? Who do you think it is? Moscato, maybe? I think Moscato's going somewhere else.
PSG, the ones that are trying to sign him. I don't think he'll be Moscato, and I don't think he'll be a young profile, to be quite honest with you. I know our fans will love the idea, but I think we'll sign a player who is 24, 25 that is ready now, because that's where our team is right now. We're trying to win a title in the next 2-3 years as much as possible. Sign Moscato, and maybe when he's 18 now, so when he's 21, he'll be amazing. But I don't think we have that much time there, because we signed Moscato, and he sounds like a very interesting character and a player. You bring him into the starting lineup against Man City because Rice is injured and so is Partey. Do you trust the 18-year-old?
Yeah, I think, I don't know. Yeah, the problem is I'm not looking around and looking at any, you say 24, 25-year-olds. I'm not looking around and seeing any profiles that I go, that is the guy. Like we were sat here last season going, Declan Rice, that is your signing. You're Jude Bellingham. That is the guy if you can go and do that.
Of course.
But I don't look around Europe right now and think there's many available players who take us to that next level.
Yeah, but I think my point is, I know that it says that Luiz, we might not be going for Luiz, but I'd rather go for Luiz and Moscato, because I feel like, that suits us right now more.
Yeah. So I did say that was the final question, but actually we're going to have one more from Mohammed Bashir. Is that the video there and there, Bhavs?
That is the video there and there. Thank you for watching. Well, that is a live stream there and there. Thank you for watching. The instant reaction there and there. Thank you for watching, as always. It's been a pleasure. Now I need to go back and watch the first half, because as it stands, it's only 2.5 things we learned today. I need to look at 5.
Please like the video. Please subscribe to the Cannon Podcast. Check us out on Patreon if you so desire. There's a 7-day free trial on there, or you can find the full podcast on YouTube as well. Check out Bhavs at Bhavs14. Check out me at Diffnock, and we will see you later. Peace.